She was fired for bringing her child, but her new millionaire CEO did the unthinkable. Before we begin, let us know in the comments which city you're watching from. And once the story ends, don't forget to rate it from 0 to 10. Enjoy the story. The day everything fell apart. Luna pressed her badge to her chest and whispered, "Just 5 quiet minutes. Baby, that's all we need." She tucked her son, Leo, beneath the reception desk, one arm shielding him, the other trembling as she picked up the phone. But fate doesn't wait. A single curious finger reached for a flashing red button, and in one heartbeat, the voice of the director blasted through the lobby. "If that contract doesn't close today, I'm firing half the marketing team." Silence, then gasps, and finally shame. They fired her on the spot, in front of everyone, with her little boy watching. She walked out into the pouring rain, jobless, soaked, humiliated, clutching the one person she couldn't let down, and just when she thought she couldn't fall any further, a stranger stepped beneath the same awning. Kind eyes, soaked suit, and a smile that asked for nothing. What she didn't know was that he owned the building that just broke her, and what he did next would change both of their lives forever. The day she lost everything, the rain had started just as Luna stepped off the city bus, fine needles of cold against her thin cotton blouse. She gripped Leo's tiny hand tighter, hoping her son wouldn't notice the way her fingers trembled. She had rehearsed this moment in her mind all night. Just sit under the desk. Baby, don't make a sound. Play with your crayons. Mommy just has to answer phones for a little while. She told herself it would work. It had to. The sitter had canceled last minute. Rent was due in 7 days. And Leo sweet. Curious Leo didn't deserve a life where his mother had to choose between feeding him and obeying company policy. The moment they slipped through the front doors of Parker Corporation, she felt the eyes, or maybe just imagined them. Either way, shame clung to her skin like her soaked sweater. Luna's voice was tight as she whispered, "Stay here, okay? Be my little shadow." Leo smiled, nodded, and pulled out his tiny coloring book. She kissed his forehead, stood up, and prayed no one would notice. 2 minutes later, the phone rang. Parker Corporation. "Good morning," she said. Voice practiced and polite. Then came Director Peterson's bark. "Transfer me to the 8th floor, now." "Yes, sir." Luna's fingers reached for the panel, her other hand adjusting the headset when she caught the movement. A small hand, a small finger, reaching for a flashing red button. "Leo." "No." "Click." The speaker roared to life across the lobby. "If that contract doesn't close today, I'm firing half the marketing team." Gasps, frozen footsteps, coffee spilling in slow motion. Luna's heart dropped into her stomach. Her whole body lunged for the panel, smashing buttons, yanking cables, begging the sound to stop. It did, eventually, but the silence that followed was worse. Then came the sound she feared most. Heels. Fast, sharp, unforgiving. Ashley Morrison appeared like a storm in stilettos. White blazer, spotless. Hair pulled so tight it looked painful. And her voice, slicing the air like glass. "What is that child doing here?" Luna moved in front of Leo like a shield. "Please, don't talk to him like that." Ashley's laugh was ice. "This isn't a playground. It's a business. You brought a brat to work, and now you've exposed a confidential call. Are you insane?" Luna's voice shook, but she didn't bend. "It was me," she whispered. "I hit the button. Not him." Everyone knew she was lying, but she said it anyway, because her son was 5, and some things, some weights, are never meant for a child to carry. Ashley's eyes narrowed. "Perfect," she said coldly, and tore the badge from Luna's shirt like peeling off skin. "You're fired. Get out." Luna didn't cry until the doors opened, and the rain met her like punishment. Leo looked up, eyes wide and wet. "Mommy, is the sky crying too?" She forced a smile through the quiver in her jaw. "No, baby, the sky's just testing us, seeing if we know how to swim." She walked through the downpour, with her dignity unraveling like threads in the wind. No umbrella, no plan. Only two $15 left in her bank account, and a little boy in her arms who still believed the world was good. That's when she saw it, a red and white awning across the street. A food truck, the smell of French fries, drifted toward her like a memory of better days. She ducked beneath it, soaked to the bone, heart pounding with fear she dared not show. Then footsteps. A tall man, suit drenched, breathless from running. He joined her under the awning, brushing rain from his hair. "Some storm?" he said, and Luna cold, shaking. Broken nodded without meeting his eyes. Leo didn't hesitate. "Did you turn into a little fish too?" he asked brightly. The man laughed, not out of mockery, but with something warm, real. "I guess I did. What about Mommy? We're runaway fish," Leo declared proudly. The man looked at Luna, and for the first time that day, someone saw her, really saw her. She had no idea that this stranger wet hair, warm laugh was Ethan Parker, the CEO of the company that just destroyed her life. And he had no idea that the woman standing beside him would become the reason he remembered how to feel. Chapter 1. The button. The elevator chimed like a warning bell as Luna stepped into the marble-floored lobby of Parker Corporation. Her flat slapped quietly against the polished surface, still damp from the early morning rain. She tightened her grip on her son's hand. Leo skipped beside her, oblivious, humming a song about dinosaurs and peanut butter sandwiches. Luna's heart thudded louder with each step. Her fingers brushed the security badge at her collarbone, hiding it beneath her scarf. If she kept her head down, if she got to the front desk quickly, maybe no one would notice. Maybe today, she could get away with it. Just until noon, she told herself. Then I'll figure something out. They approached the reception desk like fugitives. Luna knelt beside Leo, brushing his curls back. "Okay, baby, hide right here. Don't make a sound." "All right." Just like we practiced. Leo nodded with a big smile and crawled beneath the desk, tucking his backpack into the corner like it was a secret treasure. "Be quiet. Be invisible," he whispered back. Luna smiled weakly. "Exactly. Invisible." She stood up, straightened her blouse, and pulled the headset over her ear. For exactly 2 minutes, it worked. She answered the first call smoothly. "Good morning, Parker Corporation." Then came the second line, the one that would change everything. "Transfer me to the 8th floor, now." Director Peterson, always shouting, always. 2 seconds from rage. "Yes, sir." Her hand reached for the button panel, then froze, because out of the corner of her eye she saw it. A small, curious finger reaching up from beneath the desk. "No, no, not that button. Leo, don't." Click. The red light lit up. The speaker buzzed. And then, "If that contract doesn't close today, I'm firing half the marketing team." Director Peterson's voice blared into the entire lobby like a grenade. Phone stopped ringing. A security guard dropped his coffee. An intern gasped audibly. Luna dove for the console, smashing buttons with trembling hands, frantically yanking cords. Her face flushed crimson, palms sweaty, eyes wide with disbelief. "Please, stop!" "Oh, God, stop." The sound finally died. Silence crashed over the room, like thunder after lightning. She turned slowly, breath hitching, heart pounding, and saw Leo staring up at her from under the desk, eyes round as marbles. "I didn't mean to. Mommy!" Before she could answer, the sound of heels sliced through the quiet. Click, clack, click. Ashley Morrison stood just beyond the reception desk, arms crossed, lips painted the color of war. "What is this?" she spat, eyes locking on Leo. Luna stepped in front of her son instantly. "Please, Ms. Morrison, just let me explain." A child. Ashley's voice grew louder. "Are you out of your mind? This is a corporate building, not a kindergarten." "I had no choice," Luna stammered. "My sitter canceled. I didn't want to miss work." Ashley's laugh was sharp and cruel. "So you smuggled a child under your desk like a bomb and set it off in the middle of a boardroom call." "It wasn't his fault," Luna said, voice trembling. "It was mine." Ashley's eyes narrowed. "Don't lie. I saw him reach for the button. Everyone did. He's just a child," Luna whispered, tears stinging. "Please." Ashley's hand shot out. She tore the badge from Luna's collar like peeling skin. "You're done here." The sound of plastic hitting the marble floor echoed louder than a gunshot. Luna swayed slightly on her feet. Her knees almost buckled. She bent to pick up Leo's backpack. Her fingers trembled too hard to zip it. Leo stood beside her, silent now. He didn't understand what had happened, but he understood something was broken. Luna looked around one last time. Dozens of people, phones in hand, heads turned away. No one spoke. No one defended her. She nodded once, pressing her lips together to stop the sob rising in her throat. "Come on, sweetheart," she said softly. "We don't need this place." As the automatic doors opened, the world outside opened too. Rain, cold, punishing. They stepped into it, like a curtain had dropped on their old life. Leo looked up. "Mommy, is the sky crying with us?" Luna swallowed hard. "No, baby," she whispered, pulling his hood up gently. "The sky's just seeing if we know how to swim." They disappeared down the street, one woman, one child, and a silence that felt heavier than shame. Behind them, the lights of Parker Corporation glowed like a palace that had never let her in. And somewhere far above, behind a window, she'd never been allowed to look through a man who would change everything. Hadn't even arrived yet, but he would, and when he did, the world would shift. What would you risk for a child who only has you? And when everything falls, who will see your worth? When the world refuses to look. Chapter 2. Under the awning. Rain hit like needles, cold, relentless. Luna's shoes squelched with each step on the sidewalk, her blouse clinging to her back like second skin. Her breath came in short, uneven bursts, but she kept walking fast and tight-lipped. Her hand gripped firmly around Leo's. She didn't know where she was going, only that she couldn't stop. Not here, not now. Every thought raced in broken loops. Rent, groceries, gas. The look on Ashley's face, Leo's silence. Her badge ripped away like it had never mattered. "Mommy?" Leo's voice was small. "I'm okay." She lied. He tilted his face up. "But your lips are doing that shaking thing again." Luna bit down a sob, just a little cold. "Sweetheart." When she spotted the striped awning across the street, faded red and white, barely holding against the wind, she felt something crack in her chest. A food truck, warm smells, shelter, maybe silence. She tugged Leo across the puddled intersection, dodging traffic, her flats nearly sliding off her heels. Beneath the awning, she dropped her purse, her hands too numb to even unzip Leo's soaked jacket. He looked up at her, cheeks pink, hair plastered to his forehead. "We're like two fish out of the tank," he said, grinning. Luna laughed. It came out broken, shaky, but real. She dropped to one knee, tried to dry him with her already soaked sweater. Her fingers trembled. She couldn't tell if it was from cold or the rising panic pressing on her chest like a stone. Then footsteps, fast, approaching. A tall man in a dark suit jogged toward them, rain dripping off his jacket and hair. He ducked under the awning, breathless. "Wow, That came out of nowhere. Luna didn't look up. Her body tensed. Please don't recognize me. Please don't ask. But Leo, of course, had no such filters. Hi, he chirped, eyes bright. Did you turn into a little fish in the rain too? The man looked surprised, then chuckled. I think I did. He glanced down at Leo, then finally at Luna. Their eyes met. For a second, she felt bare, not just soaked but seen. She offered a weak, embarrassed smile. We're runaway fish, she said softly. We are from the storm, he asked. From life, she almost said, but she just nodded. Leo tugged at the man's soaked blazer. Your hair looks like Rex, our neighbor's dog. When he gets a bath, the man laughed a full, genuine laugh that warmed the air beneath the awning. Well, that's one way to start a conversation, he said, crouching slightly to Leo's level. What's your name, champ? Leo, he beamed. And this is my mommy, Luna. She's the best mommy in the world. Luna's heart clenched. The man straightened, extended his hand. Nice to meet you. Luna, I'm Ethan. She took it hesitantly. His grip was warm, firm but not forceful. Do you work around here? He asked casually. I used to. Her voice was barely above a whisper. Leo jumped in before she could say more. She worked in the big, shiny building over there. But the lady with the feather duster hair fired her. Ethan blinked. Feather duster hair. Luna flushed crimson. Leo. She did. Leo insisted. It was all poof and angry, like an exploding cat. Ethan's laugh returned, softer this time. He looked at Luna with something closer to curiosity than amusement. Trouble at work? She hesitated. There was no pity in his voice, just human warmth. I got let go this morning, she admitted, her chin high despite the storm. Ethan nodded slowly. Something flickered in his expression, but he said nothing for a moment, just looked at her, really looked. Luna had grown used to people looking through her, but not this man. He didn't ask for her resume, didn't question her parenting, didn't comment on the soggy backpack at her feet, just stood there, soaked to the bone, and stayed. Leo pulled out a soggy sketchbook and began to draw under the shelter, stick figures with smiles, 3 of them holding hands. I drew us, he announced. Me, Mommy, and you? Ethan crouched again, eyebrows raised. Me, well, yeah, Leo said, as if it were obvious. You shared your awning. That makes you family now. Luna felt her throat tighten. She looked at Ethan, ready to apologize, to brush it off. But he didn't look awkward. He looked honored. Later that night, after Leo had fallen asleep, curled beside her on the couch, Luna stared at the watermarks on the ceiling of her apartment. The heater hissed in the corner, barely warming the cracked tile beneath her bare feet. She thought of that man, Ethan, of how he laughed without looking down on her, of how he listened without asking what she did wrong. She didn't know that upstairs. In a penthouse far above the city, Ethan Parker sat at his sleek glass desk, staring at his phone, wondering why the name Luna wouldn't leave his mind. He didn't know her last name, didn't know her story, but something about her, the curve of her voice, the way she held her son, the quiet fight in her eyes, had stayed with him. He had no idea she used to work at his company. But he would, and when he did, nothing at Parker Corporation would ever be the same. What if the person who saved you was the same one who unknowingly broke you? And what if that meeting wasn't an accident, but the start of everything you needed? Chapter 3, The CEO's Order. Ethan Parker stood in front of his penthouse window, watching rain streak down the glass like threads of memory. He hadn't slept much, not because of the upcoming board meeting, not because of the quarterly reports stacked neatly on his desk, because of a woman in a soaked sweater with eyes full of silence, and a little boy who drew pictures of families that didn't yet exist. Luna, She hadn't asked him for anything, didn't even know who he was. And maybe that's what made it stay with him. The way she said, "I got let go today." Like it was just another storm she had to walk through. He grabbed his coat and left his apartment earlier than usual. When the elevator doors opened to the 30th floor, Margaret was already waiting. "Good morning, Mr. Parker," she said briskly, holding his schedule. "You have a board meeting at 9, followed by..." "Margaret," Ethan interrupted, slipping off his coat. "Was anyone let go from the company yesterday?" She blinked. "Excuse me?" "Terminated. Fired. Anyone?" Margaret tapped on her tablet. "Let me see." "Yes, one employee. A receptionist from the 12th floor." Ethan's stomach turned. "Name, Luna Parker." He stared at her. The name hit him like a punch. Luna Parker. Same woman. Same boy. Same sadness behind the smile. Margaret kept reading. "Terminated by Ashley Morrison. Reasons listed. Breach of company policy. Bringing unauthorized persons into the workspace. Disruption of sensitive communication." Ethan's voice was ice. "Cancel my morning meetings." "But sir," I said, "cancel them." He took the express elevator down to the 12th floor, fists clenched, thoughts boiling. As the door slid open, the lobby buzzed with phones, printers, and low chatter. But Ethan's presence turned the air electric. People moved out of his path without needing to be told. "Where's Ashley Morrison?" he asked the temp receptionist. The girl jumped. "In her office." "But she's..." Ethan didn't wait. He knocked once on the glass door, then walked in. Ashley looked up, startled. "Mr. Parker." "What a surprise. I was just..." "Sit down." The words were flat, unshakable. Ashley sat. Ethan closed the door behind him, then turned slowly to face her. "I want you to explain why Luna Parker was terminated yesterday." Ashley adjusted her blazer, trying to keep her tone measured. "She violated several company rules. She brought a child to work completely unprofessional. Then the child pressed a button, which broadcasted a confidential call throughout the lobby. She told me she had no other choice." Ethan replied. Ashley blinked. "Excuse me." "She told me," he said, walking toward her desk, "that her sitter canceled last minute. She brought her child because missing work wasn't an option." Ashley folded her arms. "We all have personal problems. That doesn't excuse breaching protocol." Ethan stared at her. "Do you have children?" "No," she replied flatly. "Then, maybe don't pretend to understand what a single mother has to choose between at 7 in the morning. She disrupted a high-level call. She made a human mistake trying to survive." Ashley's voice sharpened. "Mr. Parker, with all due respect, enough." Ethan moved behind her desk and pulled up Luna's personnel file. Margaret had already accessed it remotely. The screen glowed with numbers and reviews. Attendance, perfect. Punctuality, 0 tardiness. Supervisor notes, polite, consistent, well-liked, extremely organized. Clients request her by name. He scrolled. More praise, more signs of a model employee. 6 months of excellence. 1 mistake, 1 child. He turned back to Ashley. "You fired a dependable, dedicated woman over a single slip in a situation no one with a heart would falter for." Ashley's jaw clenched. "I followed protocol." "Protocol," Ethan muttered. "The same protocol that ignores humanity the moment it gets inconvenient." He paced the small office like a storm held back only by glass walls. Then he stopped. "You didn't just fire someone, Ashley. You humiliated her in public with her child watching." Ashley's face paled. Ethan leaned across the desk. His voice was soft, but sharp. "You didn't follow protocol. You weaponized it." Moments later, he called Margaret. "I want every contact method for Luna Parker. Phone, email, address, anything we have." "Yes, sir." "And Margaret?" "Yes." "Prepare a new contract for her. Same position, same salary, no. Raise it. Also, I want a family emergency clause included. If employees ever need to bring a child in, they can. Understood. And Margaret, find a room on the 12th floor. Set it up as a kid's space. Quiet, respectful, toys, books, whatever you'd want. If it were your child. There was a pause on the line. Got it, sir. Ethan hung up and looked back at Ashley, who hadn't said a word. You no longer have decision-making authority over any personnel, he said plainly. You're reinstating her, just like that. I'm fixing what you broke. As he rode the elevator up, Ethan felt something he hadn't felt in years. Conviction, not just business smart, but soul right. He remembered Leo's drawing. 3 stick figures, a child, a woman, a man, all smiling beneath a yellow sun. And for the first time since he built Parker Corporation from the ground up, Ethan Parker realized something. Power doesn't mean a damn thing if you don't use it to protect the people. No one else will. When you have the power to change a life, will you use it to punish mistakes or honor courage? Chapter 4, First Day Back. Luna stood in front of the glass doors of Parker Corporation, gripping Leo's hand so tightly that he finally looked up and whispered, Mommy, are you sure we're allowed back? Her other hand clutched a letter, the one with the CEO's signature and a sentence she'd read 100 times. We would be honored to welcome you back. Your work is valued and your presence is missed. But her fingers still trembled. The last time she walked through these doors, she left without a badge, without dignity, and with rain in her shoes. Today, she wore her one clean blouse, the flats she'd glued back together, and a heart that wasn't quite ready to believe in kindness again. Still, she took a breath and walked inside. The lobby was quieter than usual, or maybe it just felt that way. People glanced up. A few smiled softly. Some pretended not to see. But the woman behind the reception desk was not Ashley Morrison. Instead, a woman with silver-streaked hair and gentle eyes stood waiting. Margaret, Luna Parker, she said, with a warmth that melted through tension, like sunlight through fog. Welcome back. Luna swallowed. Thank you. Margaret extended her hand. I'm Margaret, Mr. Parker's assistant. He asked me personally to walk you through the updates. Luna blinked. Updates. Margaret turned and gestured to a glass door beside the reception desk. Behind it was a small but beautiful room. A soft rug covered the floor in cheerful blues and greens. Low shelves held picture books, toy bins, and tiny action figures. A plush beanbag sat in the corner beside a little table covered in crayons. Leo gasped, Mommy, it's like a tiny kingdom. Margaret smiled. It's yours? Leo, just for you. Leo ran inside like he had just won a carnival prize. Mr. Parker had it set up himself. Margaret added, her eyes twinkling. He said it was urgent. Luna didn't speak. She couldn't. Her throat closed and her chest tightened, not in pain, but in disbelief. No one had ever made space for her like this before. She settled in behind the reception desk. Same phone, same chair, but everything felt different. A golden nameplate now rested above the keyboard. Luna Parker, Client Services Coordinator. Coordinator, Margaret winked. Immediate promotion. Mr. Parker's orders. Before Luna could respond, a voice floated down the hallway. Good morning. She turned, and there he was. Ethan Parker. No suit jacket, just a crisp white shirt, sleeves rolled, and a folder in his hand. He looked too casual for a CEO, too calm, too human. Everything all right so far? He asked. Luna stood quickly. Yes, I don't know how to thank you. No need. He said, brushing it off. We failed you. I just corrected that. Leo ran out at that moment, holding a Batman figure. Uncle Ethan, he shouted, launching into his legs. Ethan crouched, laughing. Hey, buddy, you like your new corner? It has Batman. Then it's perfect. Luna watched as her son beamed, and the man who ran a multi-million-dollar company knelt on the floor to ask about superheroes. She'd expected a quiet return. Instead, she was watching something bloom she hadn't felt in years. Safety. The day passed gently. Luna answered phones, updated schedules, smiled at surprised coworkers who welcomed her back with soft nods and whispered, "Glad you're here again," under their breath. But something odd kept happening. Ethan, he kept appearing. So, Zera. Just checking if the reports arrived. Elincher. Trintia. Me. Thought I'd grab a water. Here, P. Aim. Wanted to see if the printer got fixed. Each visit lasted seconds, but each one made her heartbeat skip a little faster. By 3. 00P. Mommy, she was whispering to Margaret. Does he always come down here this often? Margaret chuckled. Honey, I've worked for Ethan Parker for 15 years. I've never seen him come down to the 12th floor 3 times in one day, let alone 5. Luna tried to smile, but it twisted into something nervous, something hopeful. He's just being kind, she whispered to herself. But part of her, a small, flickering part, wasn't so sure. Later, as she packed Leo's things and prepared to leave, Ethan walked by once more. Heading out, he asked casually. Yes, Luna said, lifting Leo's tiny backpack. Long day. He nodded. You handled it like a pro. She paused. I was scared to come back. Ethan's face softened. I know, but you belong here. You never stopped. Luna looked away, her throat tight again. And just before she turned, he added, and Luna, yes, thank you for giving us a second chance. She walked out of Parker Corporation with Leo swinging her hand and Batman tucked under one arm. The sun was low, and the sidewalks glowed in soft amber. This time, the sky wasn't crying. This time, it felt like maybe life was offering her a pause. Not the end. Not yet, the dream, but something in between. A beginning. What if the place that broke you was also the place you were meant to rise? And what if the person you feared became the one who saw you most clearly? Chapter 5. Cookies, coffee, coincidences. The days began to settle into a rhythm. Each morning, Luna would hold Leo's hand as they walked into Parker Corporation. He'd skip to his little corner, arms full of action figures. She'd settle behind the desk, headset in place, smile, ready. It should have felt ordinary by now, but it didn't because of him. Ethan Parker had developed a strange habit. Every morning, just after 9, he would walk down from the 30th floor, not with orders or documents, but with something else in his hand. The first time, it was a brown paper bag. I picked up some cookies on the way in, he said casually. Got too many by mistake. He set them on the desk, like it was nothing, like it didn't mean something. Luna glanced at the bag. Cookies by mistake. He cleared his throat. Yeah, the lady at the bakery talked too fast. Leo popped up from his corner like a meerkat. Did you say cookies? Ethan laughed. Yes, champ. Want to try one? Can I? Mommy. Luna hesitated, then nodded. Just one. Leo took a bite and moaned dramatically. This tastes like heaven in my mouth. Ethan looked pleased. Luna, still skeptical, finally said, Thank you for the accidental bakery detour. Anytime, he said, then added too quickly. I mean, not anytime, just cookies. The next day, it was coffee. I ordered 1, but they gave me 2. He handed her the cup. Luna took a cautious sip and stopped mid-drink. It was perfect, not too strong. A touch of brown sugar, just the way she always made it. Her eyes narrowed. You guessed my coffee order. Lucky guess, Ethan said, with a sheepish smile. Margaret passed by just then and muttered, Somebody's lying. Luna didn't reply, but she smiled when Ethan wasn't looking. By Wednesday, the pattern was too obvious to ignore. Cookies, coffee, an extra sandwich, a smoothie. Because the cafe guy messed up, and always with the same soft awkwardness, like he didn't want to admit how much he'd thought about it. Or her. Leo, of course, had no filter that afternoon. He ran up to Ethan with a folded piece of paper in hand. "I made you something." Ethan crouched. "Let's see." He unfolded the drawing. 3 figures again, a tall man, a woman with curly hair, a small boy, all smiling beneath a bright yellow sun. "Who are these fine folks?" Ethan asked gently. "That's you, Mommy, and me," Leo explained, pointing at each. "We're a family." Luna froze. Ethan blinked. Leo looked between them. "Right." Luna finally found her voice. "Leo, baby." "That's a very sweet drawing." Ethan folded the paper carefully. "Can I keep it?" "Yup, but you have to hang it somewhere important." "I will," Ethan promised, "right by my desk." Later that day, Luna whispered to Margaret, "Why is he doing all this?" Margaret smiled knowingly. "Men like Ethan don't come down here for no reason. He's just being nice." "Honey," Margaret leaned closer. "I've seen him work through Christmas. He doesn't do nice. Not unless it's real." Luna said nothing, but in her heart, something stirred, a quiet flutter, like a page turning in the dark. On Thursday, Leo was sprawled in his corner with a crayon in one hand and a toy in the other. "Uncle Ethan," he called. Ethan looked up from his phone. "Yes. Are you my mom's boyfriend?" The room went silent. Luna nearly dropped the phone. "What?" Leo shrugged. "You're always bringing food and coffee and cookies, and you look at her with your red cheeks." Ethan coughed. "Well, we're just friends." Luna cut in quickly, eyes wide. "Oh," Leo said, clearly disappointed, "but you'd make a nice one." Ethan bit back a smile. "Thanks for the vote of confidence, champ." That night, as Luna lay in bed, she thought about the coffee, the cookies, the way Ethan crouched when he talked to Leo, like children weren't below him. She thought about how his smile changed when he wasn't around the boardroom, softer, realer, and how, lately, she found herself waiting for his footsteps without meaning to. The next morning, there was no coffee, no sandwich, no Ethan. The lobby felt a little colder. She didn't realize how often she looked toward the elevator until she caught herself doing it for the 5th time. By noon, she told herself she didn't care. By 1:30, she had half convinced herself. By 2:00, the elevator dinged. Ethan stepped out holding 2 cups. "I had a meeting downtown," he said breathlessly. "Traffic. Sorry." "Sorry for what?" "I mean, nothing." He handed her a cup. It was warm. "Exactly right." She took a sip, hiding her smile. "Lucky guess again." Ethan smiled back, getting better at it. What if love doesn't begin with declarations or flowers, but with coffee, crayon, and the quiet way someone always shows up? Chapter 6. Ashley's Revenge. It started like any other Friday. Sunlight streaked through the tall windows. Leo was in his corner, drawing a dragon wearing a tie. Luna had just returned from a quick coffee break, heart still fluttering from a brief encounter with Ethan in the elevator. He had smiled, not the business kind. The real kind. Things were beginning to feel safe, normal, maybe even good. And that's when Ashley walked in. She hadn't been seen on the 12th floor since Luna's return. But now, she entered like she'd never left, heels sharp, blazer white as guilt, red lipstick painted into a warning. "Ashley?" Luna asked cautiously. Rising from her chair, Ashley didn't greet her, didn't smile. She slammed a folder onto the reception desk. "You made a mistake," she snapped. "A big one." Luna's hands instinctively reached for the file. "What is this?" "Client complaints." Ashley hissed. 3 canceled contracts, poor communication, mishandled scheduling. Luna's eyebrows knit together. That's not right. I didn't serve any of these clients. Ashley's voice rose, loud enough to draw glances. So now, you're blaming other people for your mistakes. No, I'm saying something's not adding up. You've been here barely a week, and already we're losing business. Luna stiffened. That doesn't make sense. I log every call. I double-check every schedule. Ashley leaned in, her perfume as heavy as her tone. Maybe, Mr. Parker reinstated you out of pity, but I'm here to clean up your mess. Luna's eyes burned. She hadn't fought to come back just to be humiliated again. Not this time. Behind her, Leo sat silently, coloring, listening. Ashley raised her voice for the kill. You're not qualified. You're just a charity case with a kid who draws cartoons and thinks it's cute. And that's when Leo stood up. He stepped out of his corner, quiet, steady, small shoulders squared like someone twice his age. Aunt Ashley, he said firmly. Ashley's head snapped toward him. What? Why are you lying? The room froze. Even the phone on the desk seemed to pause mid-ring. I'm not lying, Ashley scoffed, trying to laugh it off. Go sit down, child. No, Leo said. I saw you. Ashley's face twitched. Saw me what? Changing those papers. Leo answered. You had a red pen, and you were muttering bad words. The crowd around the reception grew. Margaret had stepped out of the elevator. Roberto from accounting stood frozen mid-step. You don't know what you're talking about, Ashley said quickly, eyes darting. Yes, I do, Leo insisted, stepping closer to his mother. You were changing numbers. You said if you changed enough, Uncle Ethan wouldn't like Mommy anymore. Ashley's mouth opened, then shut, then opened again. The lobby was now dead silent. No one moved. Then Ethan's voice cut through the air like thunder. Ashley. He was standing just inside the hallway, tie loosened, jaw tight. Ashley paled. Ethan stepped forward slowly. Is what he said true, Mr. Parker? Did you alter client reports to frame Luna? Ashley swallowed. I was just trying to... To what? She froze. Ethan turned to the employees surrounding them. Did anyone else hear her admit that? Several heads nodded. Someone held up their phone recording. Perfect, Ethan said, not looking away from Ashley. You're fired. Effective immediately. Ashley's voice cracked. You can't... I can, he said. And I am. You're doing this because you're in love with her. She spat. Ethan didn't even blink. You're right. Gasps fluttered across the room like falling feathers. I'm doing this because she's honest, because she's loyal, because she didn't lie. Even when you tried to bury her under it, security appeared. Ashley screamed about lawsuits and favoritism, but it didn't matter. She was gone, just like that. Luna stood frozen behind the desk. Her hands were shaking again, but not from fear, from disbelief. Ethan turned to Leo and crouched down. Is what you said true, champ? Leo nodded. I don't like lies. Ethan smiled. Neither do I. He ruffled Leo's hair and stood up slowly, turning to Luna. Their eyes met, and for the first time, no one looked away. Later that afternoon, Leo tugged on Ethan's pants leg. Uncle Ethan. Yes, buddy. You really like my mommy, don't you? Ethan blinked, then smiled. I think so. Leo, a lot. When the world tries to silence you, will you speak anyway? And sometimes, what if the bravest truth comes from the smallest voice in the room? Chapter 7. Lunchroom Confessions. It started with a post-it note, scrawled in Ethan's handwriting, clipped neatly to Luna's keyboard. Lunch. Bring Leo. Small meeting room at noon. No explanation. No agenda. Just lunch. Luna stared at it for a while, unsure if it was a joke or a trap or something far scarier. An invitation to something real. At exactly 12:00 pool, and she and Leo followed the sound of laughter into the small meeting room. and froze. There were balloons, napkins in 3 colors, 4 pizzas stacked neatly in boxes, a tub of lemonade, a tray of cookies with little smiley faces drawn in icing. Margaret waved like they'd just walked into a surprise party. Sandra brought the cookies, she said, holding one up proudly. I brought the soda, said Roberto, already halfway into a slice of pepperoni. Who brought all this pizza? Luna asked. Ethan stepped forward, a little too casually. I might have overordered. Leo's eyes widened like saucers. Pizza and cookies. This is the best work day ever. The meal was loud, warm, full of stories and laughter. Luna watched from the edge of the room as her son giggled between bites of cheese pizza, telling Margaret about Batman's secret hideout and how Ethan was the best fake superhero in the world. I taught him how to fly, Ethan whispered across the table. Not exactly, Luna whispered back. He taught you. Ethan's eyes crinkled with that rare, true smile. Halfway through lunch, as everyone chatted over lemon squares, Leo stood on his chair and raised his juice cup. I want to make a toast. Everyone turned to Mommy and Uncle Ethan, he said proudly, because they love each other. The room fell into stunned silence. Luna choked on her soda. Ethan froze mid-bite. Sandra gasped, but smiled. Margaret clapped softly like she was watching a Hallmark movie. Roberto blinked and mumbled, "Knew it." "Leo," Luna hissed. "Sit down." "What?" Leo asked, totally innocent. "You do. You look at each other all the time. And Uncle Ethan brings cookies. That means love." Luna wanted to crawl under the table. Ethan wiped his mouth and cleared his throat. "Leo, sometimes grown-ups take longer to figure things out." "Why?" Leo frowned. "You either like each other or you don't. Like me and dinosaurs. I just know." "Well," Ethan said, glancing at Luna. "Sometimes grown-ups get scared." Leo tilted his head. "Of what?" "Of what it means to say things out loud." Leo looked genuinely puzzled. "But you already said you like her last week." Ethan's jaw clenched slightly, eyes never leaving Luna. "Yes, I did." Everyone turned to her. Her cheeks flushed. "Can we not do this here?" Leo shrugged. "It's okay. I'll help." He turned to Ethan. "Do you still like my mommy?" "Yes," Ethan said softly, before he could stop himself. "Good." Leo turned to Luna. "Now it's your turn." Luna looked down at her hands. 5 pairs of eyes were staring at her. 6. If you counted the Batman sticker Leo had slapped on the juice bottle. Her voice cracked. "I didn't plan for any of this." "But do you like him?" Leo asked. Silence. "I do," she whispered, louder. "Mommy." "I do," she said, eyes meeting Ethan's. "I like him." "A lot." Sandra wiped away a tear. Margaret grinned. Roberto raised his soda like it was champagne. Leo whooped, "Yes, now. You can be boyfriend and girlfriend." Luna and Ethan shouted in unison, "Leo!" "What?" He blinked. "That's how it works. You say, 'I like you,' then you kiss, and then you get married. And I get a baby brother." Everyone burst out laughing. Ethan leaned toward her, his voice low. "Well, that escalated." Luna whispered back, "He's persistent." "He's not wrong," Ethan said. They stared at each other for a second too long. Then Leo tugged Ethan's sleeve. "You gonna kiss her now, or what?" After the laughter faded and everyone cleared out, Luna lingered behind, helping collect plates. Ethan stood beside her at the sink, sleeves rolled, drying dishes like a man who'd never led a boardroom in his life. She glanced at him. "You sure you're not just doing this for Leo?" Ethan shook his head. "No." He turned toward her. "I'm doing this for me." Luna opened her mouth to respond, but Leo burst back into the room. "Uncle Ethan, I drew our family again. Want to see." Ethan took the crayon drawing gently. 3 figures again, but this time there were 4. A baby in a cape had been added in the corner. Ethan laughed, planning ahead. "Huh," Leo beamed. "Always. What happens when the people we try to protect us instead. And when a child sees the truth, shouldn't we be brave enough to believe it too? Chapter 8. The Kiss in the Park. The day was warm with promise. Seattle's Discovery Park stretched out in golden rays, grass shimmering like a sea of green glass. The breeze was soft, the kind that carries laughter just far enough to make strangers smile. Luna stepped out of Ethan's SUV, wearing her simplest floral dress and a cardigan she hadn't worn in years. Leo bounced out after her, barefoot already, frisbee in one hand, toy truck in the other. Ethan opened the trunk, revealing a picnic basket so perfectly packed it made Luna pause. "You went all out," she said, eyeing the gourmet sandwiches, fresh fruit, lemonade jars, and a cupcake box tied with twine. He smiled. "I wanted today to feel different." "Why?" He hesitated, then answered with honesty, "Because we are." They laid a checkered blanket under a tall tree that filtered sunlight in golden beams. Leo ran off into the open field, frisbee flailing in every direction. Ethan and Luna sat side by side, shoes off, knees barely touching. "So," she asked, biting into a strawberry, "are you always this good at pretending your life is casual?" He laughed. "Only when I'm terrified." She turned to him, brows raised. "Of what?" "Of ruining something. I didn't expect to want this badly." The wind paused. Their eyes held, but before either could speak, Leo came crashing back into their orbit, breathless and bright. "Time to play." Ethan stood, dusted off his jeans, and extended a hand to Luna. "Shall we?" For the next 30 minutes, the three of them became children. They chased frisbees, made uneven grass angels, and collapsed in laughter when Luna tripped over a root and landed flat on her back. Ethan dropped beside her, staring at the sky, chest rising, with the kind of peace he hadn't felt since before his mother passed. "This is ridiculous," Luna laughed. "This is perfect," Ethan corrected. Leo plopped between them. "Let's pretend we live here forever." Luna ruffled his hair. "You'd get bored." "Nope," he said, eyes closed. "I just need snacks and love." Back at the blanket, Leo fell asleep, mid-cupcake, mouth still sticky with chocolate. Luna pulled a sweater over him, tucked his hair behind his ear, and watched him with a softness Ethan couldn't look away from. "You're good at this," he said quietly. "What?" "Being everything to someone." She smiled, small and tired. "I didn't have a choice." "I know," he said, "but still." "Not everyone rises like you did." She didn't answer, not with words. Instead, she looked at him, longer than she should have, and didn't look away. "Luna," he murmured, voice barely above wind. "Yes, I don't want to be afraid anymore." She nodded, heart thudding. "Me neither." They leaned in, softly, naturally, like a question neither of them needed to answer. And then, Leo's voice cut through the air like a trumpet. They pulled apart, startled. "You were gonna kiss," he shouted, eyes wide, mouth grinning. "I saw it." Luna covered her face. "Leo," Ethan laughed. "He's not wrong." Leo threw his hands over his eyes dramatically. "I'm not looking." "But you can kiss now. I'll pretend to be asleep," Luna whispered. "Do we dare?" Ethan leaned in again. "I think we have to." And this time, they kissed. No more pretending. No more almosts. Just lips brushing like a promise made under sunshine. And the faint giggle of a child pretending not to watch. Later, as they packed up the basket and brushed grass from their clothes, Leo said, "Does this mean we're a real family now?" Ethan knelt beside him. "Do you want to be?" Leo nodded with the seriousness of someone proposing a contract. "Then yes," Ethan whispered, pulling him into a hug. As they drove home that evening, the sky turned lavender and soft gold, painting the windshield in color. Leo slept in the back seat, Luna reached for Ethan's hand across the console. No words, just fingers laced together, and the quiet knowing that this was no longer just a story about rescue. It was the beginning of something they were choosing together. Sometimes, love doesn't crash in. It tiptoes toward you, one shared laugh at a time. When it arrives, will you be brave enough to open your heart, even if a child sees it before you do? Chapter 9. The Gala speech. The ballroom shimmered like something out of a dream Luna never dared to have. Golden lights hung from the ceiling in soft, romantic loops. Tables were set with silver cutlery and champagne flutes that sparkled under the chandeliers. A string quartet played something elegant near the back, but none of that settled the storm in Luna's chest. She tugged gently at the navy blue dress Ethan had surprised her with that morning. Still in the plastic, "You'll look stunning," he'd said softly. "Just trust me." Now she stood at the entrance with Leo dressed in a miniature suit, bow tie askew, hair full of gel and chaos gripping her hand. "You nervous, Mommy?" Luna smiled weakly. "A little." Leo leaned in. "Don't worry, I'll protect you. I brought my Batman socks." She laughed. Tension breaking, just a little. Across the room, Ethan was talking with executives in tuxedos, but the moment he saw her, he stopped, his smile soft. Private cut through the noise. He crossed the room like he didn't care who watched. Like this whole event, this entire world, had been waiting for her. "Hi," she whispered when he reached her. "Hi," he echoed, taking her hand. "You clean up nice," she said, glancing at his black tuxedo. "So do you?" "Uncle Ethan," Leo cried. "Look, cufflinks." Ethan laughed and bent down. "You look like a tiny CEO," Leo whispered. "I'm the boss of juice boxes now." The gala unfolded like a perfectly orchestrated dance. Waiters moved like swans. People laughed in circles of polished conversation. Luna sat with Margaret, Sandra, and Roberto, all beaming, all whispering. "He hasn't taken his eyes off you all night," Margaret said with a wink. "Or Leo." Sandra added, "That boy's a star." "Of course he is," Luna murmured. "He believes in capes." Near the end of the evening, the lights dimmed. A soft voice came over the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, our CEO, Ethan Parker." Applause filled the room. Ethan stepped onto the small stage. The spotlight caught in his eyes, but he didn't blink. "Every year," he began, "I come up here to talk about numbers, growth, projections." Polite chuckles from the crowd. "But this year, I want to talk about people." Luna felt her pulse skip. "I want to talk about a woman who walked into this company quietly and worked harder than anyone noticed, until someone tried to take everything from her." Murmurs rippled across the room. But what they didn't realize was that Luna Parker is not the kind of woman you can erase. Luna froze. Someone gasped. Margaret clutched her arm. "Because she didn't leave," Ethan continued. "She fought. She came back. And she showed all of us what real dignity looks like." Leo clapped, loud and proud. "That's my mommy." Laughter. Warm. True. Ethan smiled at the sound, then continued. "She reminds me of someone I once knew. A woman who raised me on her own, who worked 2 jobs, who taught me that character is not about power. It's about persistence." His voice cracked slightly. "She taught me that family is built in the small moments, the ones no one sees." He turned, then completely, fully, until his eyes found Luna's. "And a few months ago, I met another woman like that." Silence. She couldn't breathe. "Luna Parker," he said softly, "you've taught me more in a few months than most people do in a lifetime. About loyalty, about resilience, about love." Gasps now, a few tears. "And Leo," he added with a smile, "you taught me how to be Batman again." Laughter, louder this time, the kind that heals. Ethan cleared his throat. "And so tonight, I have 2 announcements. First, Luna Parker, is being promoted to administrative coordinator with full benefits and a pay increase reflecting her true value. Applause erupted. People stood. Luna sat frozen, tears in her eyes. Second, Ethan said, voice firm with joy. Parker Corporation is launching a scholarship fund for employees' children, and the first recipient is Leo Parker. The room exploded. Leo jumped up on his chair. Does this mean I can go to superhero school? Yes, buddy, Ethan said into the mic, laughing. Anything's possible. After the applause, Ethan stepped down from the stage and walked straight to her. The room parted like a story opening to its final chapter. He knelt in front of Leo. Thank you for letting me be part of your world, he said. Leo hugged him without hesitation. You're already part of it. Then Ethan stood, face to face with Luna, hundreds of eyes on them. And none of them mattered. I meant every word, he whispered. You and Leo. You're my family. She was crying now. Quiet. Open tears. I don't know what to say, she murmured. You already did, he said. You came back. He held out his hand. And this time, she didn't hesitate. What if being loved out loud was the real fairy tale? And what if the thing you feared the most being seen was exactly what your soul had been waiting for? Chapter 10. The real wedding. The garden looked like something out of a storybook. Soft white petals drifted from blooming trees. Lanterns swayed gently on strings above an arch made of ivy and baby's breath. A small crowd of just 50 people filled the clearing. No investors, no press, no titles, just those who mattered. Luna stood under the arch. Her dress simple, ivory cotton, lace at the sleeves, no designer label, just something she could breathe in, something she could be in. And when Ethan walked down the aisle toward her, holding Leo's hand, her heart didn't race. It settled, like it had finally found its rhythm. Margaret wiped tears with a handkerchief she claimed was just for pollen. Sandra filmed everything from the second row, mouthing, "Say yes," before the officiant even began. Roberto stood awkwardly in the back, holding a bouquet of wildflowers he insisted were last-minute backups, but had picked himself at 6A. When asked if anyone objected to the union, Leo shouted, "I do?" Laughter spread across the grove until he added, "I object to waiting. Let them kiss already." The officiant grinned, noted. Luna turned to Ethan with wet eyes and whispered, "You sure about this?" He took both her hands. "I've never been more sure of anything in my life." They exchanged vows, written on folded pieces of notepad paper. Hers spoke of rainstorms, crayon, coffee cups that weren't coincidences, and how the man who fixed what he didn't break somehow also healed what he couldn't see. His spoke of awnings, Batman, a boy who told the truth. And the moment he realized family wasn't something you're born into, it's something you choose. When they kissed, it wasn't dramatic. It was soft, like a quiet agreement between two hearts that had waited long enough. Afterward, they danced barefoot under the lanterns. Leo ran between tables with frosting on his face, declaring himself wedding king. Margaret slow danced with Roberto, who pretended he didn't know the steps. Sandra caught it all on video, including Ethan spinning Luna in a circle so gently she laughed like she hadn't in years. Later that night, as the stars came out and the last cupcake was eaten, Ethan scooped Leo into his arms and whispered, "Can I tell you a secret?" Leo nodded dramatically. "I was scared. I didn't know how to be a dad." Leo yawned. "You're doing fine." "You think so?" "Yep, just don't mess it up." Ethan laughed softly, pressing a kiss to the boy's forehead. "Deal." Luna watched them from the blanket near the pond, barefoot in her wedding dress, hair undone by the wind. She had never pictured this, not once, not like this. But as Ethan sat beside her, pulled her close, and wrapped an arm around them both, she realized This was the kind of love that grows like a garden, patient, messy, miraculous, and finally real. Maybe true love isn't about finding someone perfect, but about finding someone brave enough to stay. Even after the storm, even after the silence, even when your child calls them out before you do. Home isn't a place. The apartment smelled like pancakes and sunlight. Somewhere in the kitchen, Leo was humming the Batman theme while mixing orange juice with maple syrup in a mug he wasn't supposed to use. Ethan stood by the stove flipping pancakes with one hand, the other resting instinctively on Luna's lower back every time she passed. There were no chandeliers, no boardrooms, just a window cracked open to the sound of Seattle waking up, and in the middle of it, Luna, in fuzzy socks, holding her coffee with both hands, hair still tangled from sleep, watching the man she once thought she'd only know in passing cook breakfast for the child she once protected alone, and now never had to again. Leo ran in, proudly wearing his CEO of Snacks apron. I made syrup soup. Luna blinked. Oh no. Ethan laughed. Let's call that dessert. They sat down around the small kitchen table, mismatched chairs, a crack in the ceramic plate, sticky fingers, cold butter. It was perfect. After breakfast, Ethan reached into his pocket and handed Luna a folded envelope. She opened it. Inside, 2 airline tickets to Maui and a note. I've been saving up time to do nothing with you. She laughed through a breathy gasp. Ethan, this is... He stopped her with a kiss on the temple. No more waiting. Remember, Leo jumped in. Can I come? Ethan winked. Only if you promise not to bring syrup soup on the plane. That night, when the house was quiet and the city lights twinkled outside, Luna sat beside Ethan on the couch, curled into his side. She whispered something she'd been holding for months. You didn't just give us a second chance. You gave us a first one. The kind we never thought we'd have. Ethan kissed her forehead. You made me want to be someone worth being chosen. In the next room, Leo snored softly, dreaming of superhero dads and pancakes that didn't burn. And in Luna's chest, something long buried whispered, I made it, not to a better job, not to some rescue, but to belonging. If this story touched something in you, maybe a bruise you've carried quietly, maybe a dream you've dared to keep, then this space is yours too. Because like Luna, you are not too much, you are not too late. And love real, solid, gentle love might still be out there, bringing cookies instead of flowers, asking nothing, except the courage to stay. What did you think of this story? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Rate it from 0 to 10. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a story. And stay tuned. More powerful stories are waiting for you right here. Did this story move you? Tell us in the comments, what was your favorite moment? And if this love story made you feel something real, the next one might go even deeper. Watch the next story here. Subscribe for more true love stories that started